Hey, She Slayers, and welcome to another episode of She Slays the Day podcast. I pressed record and literally paused for 10 seconds because I was like, how do I start my podcast? I have been doing this 300. What episode is this? I literally have no idea. Is this episode like 360, 350 something? I don't think we're to 400. I'm pretty sure. I know we're not at 400 yet. It's all a blur. I have a good friend, Dr. Denisa Weber, who is in Dallas. A lot of you have probably heard of her. If you haven't, I don't know. When she launches her podcast, I'll share it. But she is in process of launching her podcast, and I'm excited about it because it's a really cool niche. Like she is going to, it's called like Burned and Better, I think is what the name of it is. And it's conversations with other entrepreneurs about like low points in entrepreneurship and like the lesson that came from it. So I love it because of like, this is what I do best. Like, this is vulnerability. This is like one of my soapboxes that I hate is that so often all we see on stage and on podcasts are people who have like they just don't want to touch vulnerability with a 10-foot pole. It's just like, oh, well, or they'll do it, of like, oh, I learned this one little minor lesson, but it's not like that super embarrassing. They kind of like really skim over it and they're like, but now I've learned everything and I'm amazing. That's because we're all selling stuff, right? So I just love this concept, but she hasn't really, as I'm recording this, she has not released her first episode yet. And she sent me a message just being like, ironically, a voice message, but she's like, oh my God, can you listen to yourself? Like she's talking about the thing that a lot of people struggle with is hearing their own voice. And I was like thinking back and I'm like, oh, well, I've never listened to my own podcast. Like I have not listened to a single podcast episode ever. This is why some of you, if you will DM me, and just be like, Tony Ebel will do this, Brian Harris will do this, message me just like, oh my God. And they'll like reference like the garage. And I'll be like, yeah, I have a feeling you are referencing something that I said in an episode that released recently. What Bryant was like talking about an Enneagram. And I was like, oh, teach me. He's like, girl, you did an entire episode. No, wait, did I say the Enneagram? Human design. And I was like, I know, but that was a month ago. And I don't remember perimenopause mixed with I don't shut up combined with ADHD. Like, it's just a lot of things come out. I was talking to my daughter this morning on drop off and she was like, yeah, Mom, I know you told me this. And for the life of me, I could not remember telling her. And I was like, okay, all right. Or I'm like, I don't know. Did I say that on a podcast? Did I say that in a D? I don't know. I don't know. I'm talking all day long. Ask Kirby, the poor man. So anyways, I don't remember. I don't listen to my podcast. But now, because I do so much I edit all my reels. That's me. It's mine. I find joy in it most of the time. And there is something about putting a reel out and like watching back or like your stories when you start doing face to camera. This might be an Enneagram 3 thing. So I need to know if I am just vain AF, but I will like watch my Instagram stories like face to camera or like, I just posted one this week about like Taylor Swift and it's doing really well. And I'll be like, oh, you go, girl. Like, and I'll like listen and I'm just like, oh, and I know that this is a thing that other social media people do because there's like memes out there of like me rewatching my own content. But a podcast is different. A podcast is different because it can be 20 minutes of you just, what are you even talking about? Like, so no, I do not sign up for that level of torture, but my voice does not bother me anymore. It used to in the beginning. This is a universal thing. Kirby would like get in the car and his phone would auto connect and it would be my podcast and I'd be like, shut it off. But now I'm like, oh, what am I talking about? Oh, me. So you get over it. For those of you out there who are doing face to camera stuff or podcasting, you will get over it. The sound of your voice will not be like nails on a chalkboard anymore. I swear. Okay. So what are we talking about today? So today I have on a student who's become the master. Is that what we call them? So I have on Dr. Carly Swift. I'll read her bio in a minute, but like I've gotten to work with her now in two of my programs. So one, multi-passionate chiropreneur, which is now the Uncharted CEO. She, again, just like really standout student. Like there are certain people that I like to work with now. I'm really kind of releasing, or I'm trying to not attach some students that put their results on me. It's just not working for me anymore. Like I think it's because I'm getting closer to 40. I don't know. Maybe Steph Wigner has like rubbed off on me just a little too much, probably multiple factors in this. But once you realize, I think what it is once you have the awakening for yourself, totally for yourself, that the outcome really isn't dependent on the book or the program or the training. And that you could have the best training in the world, but if you suck, I'm not going to do anything for your life. You're going to stay comfortable because I guarantee you the best training in the world is going to recommend you do some uncomfortable shit. And if you are just not going to do it, then you're going to blame, if you're the kind of person who's not going to take ownership and you're going to blame that program. Well, they didn't really recommend like crazy stuff I hadn't heard before or whatever. Like, so I'm just really trying not to call those types of people. And Carly is not one of those people. She is an action taker. She owns her shit. And it shows. Like she's built a really successful clinic. I think she's hiring right now. So I don't remember where she is at, Virginia, something like that. I don't know. So if you want to be an associate of Carly's, you should hit her up. Would be an amazing opportunity to work for someone, and cool location, right? Like not Rice Lake, Wisconsin. But also she is in my healthcare membership. She was one of the first people that joined. So she got a really cool rate, a really good rate. And she just is one of the people who takes it and applies it. Like, and I know she's scared. Like, I know she's doing it because in the beginning, the first 6 months, you're terrified as you're putting yourself out there on social media. And what's funny is I've learned that it doesn't change. So like, there's still so many things that happen in the personal branding world that you would think like, oh, Lauren's not afraid of that anymore. Like I just did a live Q&A this morning while I was getting ready. And Q&A, like the lives on Instagram are hard for me because the numbers are so low, right? So I have 11,000 followers. If I do a 10-minute live, I'm lucky if 10 people are showing up to that. And so every time I did a live, 100 people were there, I'd be like, okay, like, sure, I would do it a lot more often. And so it's funny because I realized this in talking to my students and why I was like, you know what, I'm going to do the hard thing. I'm going to go live because I realized that it was a vanity thing on my part that I wasn't doing because I was like, oh, but the numbers aren't impressive or this or that. And that's what I tell people in the beginning when they're starting their personal brand of like, do it anyway. Like, do the hard thing when nobody's there, because there's so many lessons you learn from that show up elsewhere where people are going to be watching. Let me explain that again. And where that came from. That actually came from Jen Gottlieb. I don't really know how to say her last name, but she's a big name in keynote speaking and personal branding. And I was doing a keynote speaking training with her this week because I spend a ton of money and train. Like I train hard on this stuff all the time because I want you guys to get excellent advice. And like, I am not done learning. And so I am continually putting myself in these programs to learn, get better myself. And so I can just like teach you. So anyways, so she was talking about how she does weekly Q&As because where her content comes from is what questions people are asking. And I literally just got off an interview with somebody on blogging. It hasn't been released yet. It'll be released in a week or two. But again, it came up of like, well, what are we blogging about? Well, what are people asking you? And if you are disconnected from what people are asking you, then yeah, your keynote may land flat or you may really struggle with content. And so I just found that very, very interesting of like, okay, if she can do a Q&A and that's why she's doing it, she's doing it to practice getting comfortable speaking. She's talking about how like she might really focus on a specific Q&A where she is not using filler words. Oh my gosh, I could definitely work on that a lot, a lot, a lot. If I did listen back to my podcast, I'd be like, girl, cut your filler words. My Lord, my editor's probably just like nodding his head like, yeah, you could improve on that. So it's just showing up and doing the hard thing. And Carly is absolutely a plus student when it comes to that. So one of her personal brand that she is working on bringing to small business owners is just becoming more aware of your profitability. And she'll tell it through the lens of her story. So many healthcare providers really just struggle with understanding their numbers at all. Like most of y'all just have no idea at all. And you don't need to know them on a weekly basis or even a monthly basis, but like, I don't know, biannual? Does that mean twice a year? Or did I just say every other year? I mean, like every 6 months. Looking at that, like bare minimum, looking and going at like, what was our OVA for the half year? What was our collections? What was our profitability? What were our expenses? Were our expenses up this half of the year compared to last half of the year? These are some things that we're just so terrified at even doing. Now, one of Carly's big things is budgeting. And let me tell you a quick story about how nobody's budgeting. I was sitting in a room full of 7-figure women trying to get to 8-figure, like multi 7-figure women. And the topic of budgeting came up and it was silent. It was like, who budgets? And it was like, not me. None of these women. So like that is really Carly's specific realm. I would say watching her within her niche that she could dive even deeper into is this area of just helping you establish a minimum budget. I think people freak out about budgets. Okay, this is pot calling kettle here. I'm like holding my microphone because I do not have a budget, but I have some money work to work through because I hear budget and I go, don't box me in. I'll just make more money. Don't give me a budget. I take your budget and I'll triple it. Like it feels very suffocating. And I think that a lot of people, we put these weird emotions to a budget of like shame of like, oh, I went over it. Or like, well, how would I even figure out? I don't know. Just look at last year. I actually don't know how to figure out a budget. But Carly does. Carly knows how to figure out a budget. And we're just like, ooh, but what if there's an unexpected expense and I go over my budget? Okay, the budget police aren't coming, right? Like this is how we view our financial numbers. We're just afraid to look at them. And so I love that. Now, there was what did I just say that made me think of like one more thing I wanted to talk about before we get into, so with this whole, being scared. That's right. That's right. Like things are still scary. Okay. So I have been posting and doing all sorts of things on social media for 6 years. You would think that I am fearless when it comes to posting things, but I am still learning what my audience likes as I continue, because we are constantly, so first of all, the algorithm constantly changing and expanding, constantly changing. So what I did 6 months or a year ago is not what is getting the same good engagement as in August of 2025. Any social media content person will tell you that. Like for instance, here's your freebie of the day: face to camera and storytelling and being like an authentic human. Get to the point, for sure. Get to your point. Like you need to be, here's my hook, here's my this, but like those types of things are performing so much better than they used to. Like I said, the Taylor Swift thing that I talked about earlier this week, it was a 2.5 minute face to camera, no editing. It's got like 7,500 downloads. Like that never would have happened a year ago. Like a face to camera, like it was all about like B-roll and quick this. And so things are constantly changing. So as a creator, I'm having to continue to do different things to get the engagement and get what I want to teach people actually in front of them. But also me as a person and my brand is constantly bumping up the walls of the guardrails of what is my authentic voice and what is this. And as I get sassier with like, well, I shouldn't even say sassier, just being a little more authentically who I am. Like if you know me, all of you know me because I haven't hid who I am on the podcast since day one. It was just going to be too hard. But like so if you've been listening to the podcast for a while and you are watching my Instagram reels, you might be like, there she is. Okay. And there's like, I'm experimenting with how honest can I be without being mean? Because I never want to be unkind. Like, I don't want to hurt people, but I am a really direct. And like, when you're a really direct talker, you kind of go through the world with this filter of like, how am I supposed to phrase this so I don't get canceled? Right. And especially on social media, you're worried about being canceled and stuff. And so it is really, again, it's playing with like, as I'm getting to 40 and people respond, like people really like it. They like honest. And I'm like, oh, so I can just be honest with you. I can just show up like that. And you like that. It's still scary to me because I'm like, okay, but what if I go too far? What if I'm too mean? What if I'm this? And then like, and so that being said, having a personal brand, putting yourself out there on podcasts and social media, it continues. It gets a little easier only from the sense of you've done scary things before and you did it anyway. So it gets easier to be like, okay, I'm not going to let that fear overpower me. But 1, 2, 3, post. Here we go. All right, let's get into the episode. All right, so Dr. Carly Swift is a chiropractor turned entrepreneur who learned the hard way that being great at healing people doesn't automatically make you great at business. After building a 6-figure chiropractic practice, she thought expansion was the natural next step until a failed second location nearly bankrupted her and triggered every piece of generational trauma about money she thought she'd healed. That financial crisis became her wake-up call to stop people-pleasing her way through business decisions and start making data-driven choices that actually protect the company. Now she's the give it to you straight budgeting coach who helps holistic practitioners take the guesswork out of pricing so they can stop undercharging and start thriving. She's passionate about teaching wellness entrepreneurs that charging what you're worth isn't greedy. It's essential for building a practice that can actually serve people long term. What a great niche. I wonder if anybody helped her figure out that niche. That's also a great bio, Carly. Good job. I like this bio. It's a storytelling. Oh, it was good. It was good. Okay, so without further ado, let's take a breath and pray and then get into our conversation with Dr. Carly on budgeting and her story to budgeting. I don't know. That was a weird way to end that. Let's just pray and get to it. Oh, dear God, thank you so much for people like Carly who take action. God, I ask that everybody listening just checks in with themselves and says, like, when was the last time I put myself in an uncomfortable situation? When was the last time I learned something new? When was I focused on taking advice and applying it to my life and like actually activating that advice, integrating it so it can be powerful in my own life. So God, I hope that you open the ears, the hearts and the minds of everyone listening so they can see themselves in Carly's story and learn from her mistakes and learn from her wisdom. In your name we pray. Amen. Hey, that was a decent prayer. I might be getting better at this after however many episodes. All right, people, without further ado, here is Dr. Carly Swift. Enjoy. All right, Carly, you ready, girl?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do this. Well, welcome to the podcast. You are like OG. Have you been listening? It's okay. You know, have you been listening since like day one?
You started in 2020? Probably pretty close. 2019. Okay, no. I started listening in 2020.
Yeah. Oh no.
So
So
I
2020. It took you a minute to find it.
took a minute and was laying in, you know, I was like shackled to my kid's crib when he was 18 months, laying there until he fell asleep. So I would pop you on.
I'm so sorry about the curse words. Hopefully you had headphones in.
Nope. You gave him a shout out once because
Oh my
he's heard.
God, that was you. Oh, I remember. Yeah, I used to do listener highlights, which I still could. I don't know. You go through things and you're like, "Oh yeah, I
You
forgot I
evolve.
used to do that," and whatever. Okay, so have you started your podcast yet?
No,
Okay, I was
I
gonna say
started a
we'll kind of
blog,
get to that. All right, you've started a blog.
with a
Okay,
B.
okay, with a B.
I
Okay,
did
all right.
start a
Well, hey,
YouTube
that's a
channel
good
too,
beginning.
actually. I mean, I've dabbled in all the things. You know, I downloaded my lives from Instagram and I uploaded them to YouTube, and I'm like, yeah, well, that'll
All
work
right. Well,
for now.
well, we're jumping to the end of the story. So, okay, so Carly, so the reason that, I really wanted to have a conversation with you is because I feel like you are just the prime example of a high achieving healthcare provider who kind of builds everything they want in their clinic, learns some lessons along the way, and then gets to this point. I'm never going to call it a mountaintop because I freaking hate like everybody who's like, "Yep, I figured it out in life." But then looked back, realized there was a lot of lessons that could have been, or a lot of like things that could have been prevented if you had just had like mentorship and like known some of these things, and kind of got it on your heart that you wanted to start sharing that. Am I summarizing that pretty well?
Yeah, I definitely felt there was a need. There's so many practice management companies out there, and they're great, you know. And yet, I was inundated with one for almost a decade, and I still was clueless. And it took hard lessons of learning like really specific budgeting skills to finally be like, oh, this is what I need to be doing on a weekly basis. And then this is how I apply the things that this practice management company was teaching. But this is like the app, like actual day to day application. And so, yeah, in January, I
Take me
was
back
like,
to, yeah, take me back to like like, so talk to me about practice. And what were some of the kind of the hurdles that you had to overcome in practice that so many healthcare, that we know so many healthcare practitioners learn?
well, hi, I'm Carly. I'm a generator, Enneagram 3, Wing 2, recovering. And I was just rushing to the next goal, baby. I started in 200 square feet, renting space from another chiropractor. He was like, I'm moving. And I'm like, great, get out. Let me take over. So I went from 200 square feet to 1,800 square feet. And, when you jump into that space, you're like, all of a sudden you have staff, you have a huge overhead. And nobody talks about like building the reserve because that's not a huge conversation to have before you grow. So it's just like, okay,
Well,
you're growing.
I feel like I feel like we don't talk about the reserve because we know how unrealistic it is. So I don't
Yes.
remember who I had a non-Cairo on, gosh, probably like a year ago, talking about how a new startup should really have a reserve. And the thing is like, okay, a lot of these people are fresh grads. They are $250,000 or more in debt. They are starting a practice scrappy style. Like, this is chiropractors. I don't know how the hell dentists do it because like dentists come out
So
close
much
to
equipment.
$500,000 in debt now. And they just can't start a practice because they have so much equipment. But like chiros, we're like, all right, listen, I can hang a shingle, I can get a logo, and I can get a table. You can really start a practice for
Off
$5,000
of
in chiropractic.
Craigslist, baby. Craigslist, because Facebook Marketplace did not exist. So I found a
Oh yeah,
ancient
yeah, 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 Craigslist.
venue
Yep. So
for
yeah, so
yeah.
chiropractors, but like so somebody's fresh out of school who's starting a practice, like you should have 3 months reserves minimum, if not six. It's like, you want me to what? I don't have a penny to my name. Like,
Mhm.
you want me to sit and save $30,000 before I start? Like, is one of
Right.
those funny things where you're like, but I need to start the business to make the money, but you want me to
Right.
have the money before I start the business?
Yeah. Oh, well, maybe get a second job. Oh, well, but I need to market. Like, how do you have a second
Yeah.
job in that too?
Yeah. All right. So you have no reserve.
No reserve. So grew. It was amazing. And then I start like thinking like, yeah, I want an associate one day. So like 3 years in, I'm like, sure, I want an associate one day. So it's just like I just keep climbing to like, all right, we're at 140 a week. Let's get to 180. All right, we're at 180 a week. Let's get to 210. Like it's just like next goal, next goal, next goal. There was never like okay, just like chill. Just
And obsessed with the patient visit weekly. That is
yeah.
so much a part of my story. That was
Hmm.
like when I look back, I married a guy with, I mean, it was corporate finance, but like I am the energy and the driver. So there was no telling me that getting to 500 patient visits a week wasn't the goal, like
Right.
type of thing. And that's what you're focused on. Like you're focused on how many people. And it's this weird thing. God, really wish we're gonna grab espresso martinis with non-Kairos and ask this, but like, I wonder if that's the same for like other
Right.
healthcare entrepreneurs. Like,
Like
are dentists
vets
and
or
vets just
dentists. Yeah.
obsessed with like, I saw this many animals this week? Because I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. I actually don't know. I feel like within chiropractic, there's a weird, ooh, how do I want to say this without pissing a bunch of people off? Like, there's this martyrdom with like I mean, we glorify box on the wall.
Hmm.
Like one of our like chiropractic gods is like, and he was box on the wall. And it's always like, oh, but he was super successful. And it's like, wait. Can I see his P&L actually?
Yeah.
Like, I
For
would
real.
love to know like what you called and like, and what we mean is like, he was able to pay his bills. So it's just like and these are the stories that we hear while we're in school and while we're this and you're in the audience and you're just like, oh, okay, don't ask questions about money. If you focus on the patients, the money takes care of itself.
Right. Gosh, that's like what's her name? Abraham Hicks. Love it. Manifestation. Like, just like stay in the vortex and it will come. No, I'm sorry. It's not going, that's not how it works. You have
The
to take
money
action.
came, the money came, but then it somehow went. And you're like, how am I making $750,000 a year, but yet there is no money? Yet when I sit
Hmm.
down with my accountant, they're like, congratulations, you made a lot of money. And you're like,
But
can you
where is
tell
it?
me where it is?
Where did it go?
Did you set up a sweep account without telling me? Like,
No, I think going back to that martyrdom, it's like I grew up in chiropractic going to New Beginnings. Like almost at least twice a year, maybe 3 times a year. So I was like drinking the Kool-Aid hard. Man, woman, and child,
and it's
get
not bad
adjusted.
Kool-Aid. It's
No,
not bad Kool-Aid.
absolutely
I
not. It
love
doesn't
that
have
that
any dye
Kool-Aid
in it. It has real sugar.
It's
It's the
great
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid. It does serve a purpose. Like being focused on service is Christ-like. It is
You are not going to
beautiful.
survive this
We're not
profession
saying
if you don't fall in love with this profession.
that's bad Kool-Aid. We're just
No,
saying
absolutely
it
not.
needs to be served with something, and one cannot survive on Kool-Aid.
No, no.
That's all we're
So I
saying.
just broke these numbers down for my amazing associate because we were struggling with the prices, and I was like, listen, let's break it down. $35 an office visit is going to make you this much. That's not a realistic income. So let's own our worth. You've been to over 48 adjusting seminars. You are a skilled, badass chiropractor, and you deserve to charge for that and own the selling of what you're selling. You're selling saving lives. So own it and charge for it. And yet probably not every man, woman, and child is going to get adjusted. And we want that to happen, but it's also we have to put food on our table, and we deserve to have a decent
Mhm.
living. So it was
So you
really
had to go
eye-opening
through a
for
price
her.
increase. So you kind of had one of those like,
Oh yeah,
okay. So I'm assuming you set your original prices because again, my story here, based on what felt good.
absolutely. And gave away care and yeah,
Like,
family members
because were you cash or
discounted,
insurance?
all cash.
Yeah.
So came out the
So it's
gate
like,
cash.
well,
Yeah.
if they go to this clinic that's in network, you know, they're only going to have to pay like even though we're cash, we somehow let what insurance reimbursement was paying because we wanted to be able to tell them we're actually
Mhm.
cheaper than using
Right.
insurance and
Absolutely.
insurance is over there effing over insurance docs and yet we're trying to break free from the insurance model, yet still kind of like shackled to it somehow in pricing. So we're like, 40 feels good. 40 feels good. And back then, 40 was too much back then. Oh my God, 35. 35. Now 40 is like the new 35. But yeah, so how then did you figure out and be honest here, like so because a lot of docs realize they need to increase their prices. They're, like, "Ew, this isn't working." But then they just do the same thing of like, I'm going to increase it based on what feels good. And I totally have done this too. So did you
Mhm.
do a price increase just based on like what felt doable to your patients, or did you calculate yet?
In the beginning, it was okay. I'm not going to fall into the trap of it's been 15 years since I've had a vacation or raised my prices. So every 3 years, I just raised my prices $3. It was just like the arbitrary number.
Okay. I mean, shit, if that's the only thing clinics take away, that wouldn't be the worst.
Then once we got more staff, we got our associate, we had bonus structures. I was like, oh, I'm kind of getting left out here. I gotta like not include myself on payroll. I'm got sleepless nights. I'm like, where is the money gonna come from? What the fuck is happening? Like, this isn't supposed to be the story. I thought we were gonna be like, this mega chiropractic 2 doctor office that's freaking crushing it. And we were office visits wise and seeing a ton of pregnant moms and babies. I mean, ICPA focused the poster child of an amazing pediatric chiropractic office. And I was like, this isn't paying the bills. So we took the overhead numbers and finally divided it by our average office visits to get, it costs us $45 to see a patient. And we're letting newborns come in for $10 an adjustment. That's not going to
Oof.
work. Used to be free because, that was the story too. Oh, mom's under care, let baby's first year is free. And I'm like, that doesn't work
Oh,
in a
first
pediatric
year?
office,
Carly, the
right?
first year?
I know,
Oh,
I know.
God. Oh,
I know I'm
man.
not the only one listening that
No,
that's
you're
been the
not.
story.
No, I'm sure you're not. I'm sure there are people listening like, well, wait, what's bad? What's bad about that? But the funny thing is usually where I see free care for kids is in the non-trained people. So you were really a good deal being so trained by ICPA. So you come up with a new price that is actually going to change your profit margins. Was your entire staff okay with it, or did you have to? I mean, you kind of talked about your associate, how you were like, if you want to make this, this is what it needs to be. Did you have
Hmm.
any other pushback from your staff first? Because a lot of times the front desk are the people who are having to do that price increase.
Yeah, absolutely. We had somebody who was in chiropractic, and they also felt like everybody should be able to afford chiropractic. And I'm like, I get that. And I also think that you deserve a decent living. So, you know, this is what we're doing. Here's the money Bible. Read it and own it and get on board. You know, we do book clubs in our office, and we do podcasts and like self-growth stuff. So in that time period, we focused a lot on, breaking down money patterns and money stories and things like that to try to just like get people to the other side.
Do you think that, because you said something like everybody should be able to afford care, but you deserve a livable wage. I mean, honestly, livable is kind of a shitty word too. Like
Mm-hmm.
livable
Yeah.
wage? Like you're a doctor, you commit like you deserve an I mean, maybe we don't need to go abundant wage, but there's got to be something between livable and abundant.
Oh, I mean,
Reasonable?
right at this point, I'm owning a reasonable
Okay,
rate.
so my question is, do you think that both of those things can exist in a clinic? The thought that, like, can you have a clinic that it has a pricing system that everybody can deserve care or everybody can afford care and the doctor, and I know a certain person who's big in pediatrics is like losing his absolute shit right now, but there's different models and that's a different model based on interns and a lot of things, like, and high volume, super high volume. So it's like, do and I don't have the answer.
So here's
Honestly,
what's coming to my mind is the patient has to value it. And if even if you told them that it's $10, they're going to find an excuse of why they can't afford that $10.
time is also a super currency, and that is another
Absolutely.
big part of my story is we act I don't even know what year it is. They all are missing meshing together now. But at one point in our like my vanity search, because at a certain point we were close to seven 700 a week. And that was when we had like four doctors, our biggest staff. Like that was our clinic's biggest time, and that is the least money I brought in personally. Then like I mean, I think if I calculated our OVA in that, it would have been in the 20s. But like right before that, I decreased prices because I thought like, okay, so here's what's happening. For our wellness patients, families of four or more, the water heater goes out, dad loses his job,
Mm-hmm.
something
Yeah.
happens, and they look at their budget, and so they need to slash. So we need to stay under $400 a month, no matter how much. So that was what we did. There was not a single payment plan. So if you were a family of eight who wanted to come weekly, you would not have paid more than $395 a month. And like that's how we structured it. We're like, oh my gosh. And our front desk loved it because they were like, we need to talk. Your price is going down. Like
Here's
it
an
was
adjustment. Here's
amazing.
an
It felt
adjustment. Here's an
so good.
adjustment.
Yes. Like we literally had to tell patients, like, we're going to be charging your credit card less because we've lowered our prices. And it was awesome for a minute. And for close to 2 years, like between a year and a half and 2 years, we had this pricing model and our retention didn't change at all. If anything, it was slightly worse. It didn't change. And that was the whole reason we did it is we wanted to fly under their budget radar and like get that price so low that they're like, well, I'm definitely not getting rid of the chiropractic. No, still happen because like at the end of the day, you still have time, they still have to value it and they won't value it at $10 more or like if they don't value it at 20, they're not valuing it at 10.
Exactly.
That's just
Yeah.
that's the case.
Yes, they would have found a reason. And it's nothing personal. That's something that we really need to get past is that it's something we did. It's personal. We talked to them inappropriately. We did something. We didn't agree with them or laugh at their joke or whatever. And it's like, no, this is not personal. Like you aren't their friend. I try to tell my doctors, you are not their friend. Like you care deeply about them. You see them a lot and you are their doctor. You are not their friend. So you just need to make sure you're covering your expenses. You're paying yourself an abundant wage. Absolutely. And do some self-worth healing and work to realize like what you're selling is great, man. All of us get so scared about the whole selling aspect of things. And you talked about the martyrship and you talked about how, you had 750 and 4 doctors. Nobody talks about how that's like a blip of time. Nobody asks people, oh, you saw 1,000 people a week. How long did you do that? Like they just say, I was
How
seeing
long
1,000
before
people.
that system imploded? And
Exactly.
sometimes it doesn't. I would imagine that some of them keep going. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like there's just not enough transparency. And I love, so like
Mhm.
kind of to fast forward of like you learning this and realize we are surrounded by 50% of chiropractors are out of business or choosing to exit the career within 5 years. Like,
Hmm. Yeah. How are we going to save the world with that? Yeah.
yeah,
How are we going to save the
yeah.
world? How are we going to have every man, woman, and child get adjusted if 50% of us are falling off the train?
And you see why, because there's just some that are spewing not lies, definitely not lies, but only part of the truth. They're not
Hmm.
sharing P&Ls. They're not
Right.
sharing. Like, that's what I love about you, Carly, with your like lately, sharing P&Ls and like getting into that because for a long time we've only had kind of one piece of the puzzle. We've only had the Kool-Aid and one cannot survive on Kool-Aid alone. We need some protein in there and a P&L is the protein of your business. So get your protein. So okay, so you increase your pricing. You have this message. All right. So now I want to fast forward to like clinic is doing well now. You got your shit in order and you want to start like how did you start to decide that there was a part of you that felt like you needed to do something outside of your clinic?
When did I start to do that? So I love mentoring. I love talking business. And I was like, I need to, if I haven't figured this out, then there's people who aren't putting the time and the work into it that definitely don't have this figured out. So I want to make sure that we can provide that. So I jumped on to I can't even pronounce it. Chiropreneur in January. There it is.
That's the old program.
And
So last year.
then, yeah. And then the Uncharted Collective popped out in March, right? That
Mm-hmm.
was March.
Was March.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, I think I have a niche here. I think I can like be able to do something to bring attention to paying attention to your P&Ls and paying attention to your budget and calculating your office visit average and your cost per visit. So let's check this out. And I'm also like a content junkie. Like I love just like, oh, let's do this. Let's modules. Yes, please.
All right. So you joined the Uncharted Collective, formerly Beyond Brick and Mortar. Rest in peace.
Yes. RIP.
Oh, trademarks. And all right. So what was one of the first things that surprised you? in the process of like, I have this vision, I have this mission outside of my practice, and here we go.
I think it was like, oh, I like what surprised me is how specific to be and how you didn't have to go viral. Like that was like, oh, okay, cool. That's like a weight off the shoulders. Like, whew,
Did you
got
keep it
it.
off your shoulders, or do you have to tell yourself that 17 times a day?
I don't want to go viral. So yeah, it was removed and it was like, bye. Don't need that life. Um, so, and
Because that is that like I was just talking to Ellen Yin. She is the host of Cubicle to CEO. And we were talking about the membership, and I said, like, where it's different is it's not for everyone. Like, if you are looking to quit your day job and want to become like a viral sensation, there's better programs out there for you. This is for damn professionals who like their day job, and this is a passion project. They're like, cool, yep, I'm gonna get this rolling in the background. If it makes like an extra 10 to 20 grand a year for a little bit, that's awesome. We can always multiply it
right.
later. So, like, the thing is, though, is so many people delay trying to monetize until they get to some weird number of followers in their head.
Mm-hmm.
And
I can
that's the
definitely
thing
see
where,
that.
like, that is the thing in the program is like, I was monetizing the shit out of this at 500 followers. Like, you just got
Mm-hmm.
to make sure they're intentional 500 followers.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And
Okay, so you didn't have to go viral.
it so you referenced something about how this you want to be this you need to be this viral sensation. So I don't feel like I want to be this viral sensation, but I feel like, okay, like what else do I need to be doing, like the YouTube video or like the YouTube channel or the podcast, and like how do I make this pretty? Like I feel more attached to making things look pretty and professional than needing to go viral. That's probably the biggest struggle I have. And it's
Well,
just
and
like
that's
just
where we
else.
talk through, yeah, yeah, the landing page and that, and having the long form content and all of that. So, and they kind of all go together. And what's hard is like I have quite a few people who have joined the program, and I don't know, like they're just like, "Oh shit. You have to do like I don't know what how they thought I got to this." Like
Well,
it's like
it's hard. I almost
it's
threw my computer against the
hard.
wall
It
like
is
so many times
hard.
making
It's
a
really
fucking
hard.
website. Like I was like, this is ridiculous. And thank God you were finally like, go hire somebody. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
I'm like,
outsource that
this
shit. Let
button
your day
is
job pay for
dragging,
your
it's
hobby.
dragging everything else. Like, what the fuck? So yeah, you get stuck on making the website not going smoothly. And it's like, hop onto Fiverr, hop onto
Do you
ChatGPT,
think
ask them
the
why this
tech is
isn't
the number
working.
one? Do you really think that tech is the number one issue for people though? Or is it the like mindset? And then the tech is like the thing that really, like, because I just feel like so many people, what they like to do is they're like, well, yeah, if I was you, I wouldn't feel bad about having a landing page. And it's like, well, I wasn't me in 2019. Like, I did, like, do you get it? I started with nothing. Like, I had friends who had connections. I remember,
He was like a little like, making a website for myself. But really,
I'm making a
I'm
website about Dr. Carly.
yeah, exactly. But those are the things that piss me off no matter what in business. If I have to change my password and my accountant's emailing me mid morning and I feel like it's like nails on a chalkboard. So like the tech definitely stops me from going further because I'm like, I gotta learn a different thing. Am I doing this right? What if it messes up? Like, so it's like there's this action block to get past the technical difficulties. And I just want a
So
module
what
of
are
like,
you
this is try.
Yeah, I just want to consume. I don't want to implement. Oh shit.
Right.
Okay, so then like kind of one of my last questions for you is like what have you learned in this process the most? Like what are you most proud of yourself? Or just like what have you learned in like posting and like refining your niche and all of that? Like what have been some of your biggest takeaways in this process of starting to build online?
I love the vulnerability of it all, like especially telling my side of this, like my story. I'm like, people don't get that story very often unless we're sitting on the beach drinking a margarita. And I'm like, well, let me tell you what I dealt with last year. So it was a block at first of potential, like who's going to see this, but that was quickly resolved. And now I'm just kind of like, when I post something of being like, oh yeah, there was like some really sleepless, scary moments in the financial crisis of these two offices. And I'm just kind of like hanging it out there, letting it, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins take a little peek of what's going on. But I actually like, I'm like, okay, cool. Like it's out there. And if anybody wants to talk to me about it, then they know it's a safe space to be able to have these conversations and know what I lived through. Um,
Yeah, so like you said, so much about your niche is often connected to your story. And the best part of our stories are things we've overcome. And so for anybody looking for your niche out there, look to low moments in your life, divorce, a child
mm,
being diagnosed with a chronic disease, like sleepless nights because you're of payroll, like you look to those moments and how you pushed through them. This is why I just watched a reel by Jen Gottlieb. I don't know if I'm saying her last name right. Gottlieb. Anyways, and she was talking about how she was denied on this like branding thing she really, really wanted. But her brain was so quickly able to turn it into like basically this is fine because it's going to be content later when I do get it. And it's just a
right.
weird way to put it, but like I get
They
it.
denied me
Like
at first, but
when
here I
you
am.
look at nothing interesting, no books, no like programs, no courses, no keynotes from stage come from a life of, and then everything just kind of worked out. I, I didn't have any adversity. I didn't have to overcome anything. So therefore, I didn't learn anything. And how I started the business, well, like I just well, what I came into the business was how I exited, and yeah, like what is there to teach someone there, right? And so
Right.
like that's when you're looking at that niche, it's like it is, but that's why so many people struggle because they're like, oh, no, 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 but I'm not an expert because that happened to me.
Mhm.
I'm not an expert on that. It's like you lived through that experience and are on the other side. There are people who can see themselves who are going through it in their low moment right now, and you can help them. Like, and you don't have to
Absolutely.
be 10 years past it. That's another thing is like, so like,
That
you
was a
don't need to be
great
10 years
lesson.
past it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they're like, "Oh, that just happened 2 years ago." And you're like, "Great, it's fresh in your memory." Like, perfect.
Oh, I've been there.
It's still relevant advice. It's why I wouldn't coach a startup. Like you made a joke
Right.
about
No.
Craigslist
Mm-mm.
because Facebook Marketplace didn't exist. I'd be like, what would I do if I was starting up today? Well, I'd fucking run some meta ads. That would have been nice back then.
Right.
Shit. We didn't have meta ads in my
Right.
day.
I'm like,
Like,
wait, that didn't exist. And so there's something I also want to include for that. You don't have to tell your whole story. Like there's parts of my story that I'm still keeping, under lock and key. Haven't quite reached that comfortability of sharing that part of it, and
well, there's a
still
difference
make a
between
positive
sharing and
impact.
oversharing. Yeah.
Right.
So, no, I think that's really important. Is just because you're being vulnerable and sharing your story doesn't mean that you're sharing every dirty detail because there is a line of oversharing. So, Okay, so if people want to follow your journey and support
Mhm.
you, and maybe learn some profitability information in the process about their business,
Yeah.
where can people get more of you, Carly?
Instagram, Dr. Carly, Carly Swift, Instagram handle. And then website is drcarlyswift.com. You can get a free budget sheet on that website, drcarlyswift.com/budget.
All right, my dear, you are wonderful. You're one of my favorite students because you actually, even though you joke about how only you just want to consume, like you do implement pretty damn well. So I love, and I don't, it was about, I don't know, a month or two ago where I could tell that like content had changed for you. Like it was like, oh,
Mm.
I feel like it's coming. It's still like there are certain days where you just want to throw your phone across the thing and you're like, I really thought that one was gonna do amazing. Like, yeah, even though I don't want to go viral, there are some that I post that like 6 hours later I was like, I should check that. That's probably viral. And it's like 972. I'm like, what the actual fuck.
Yeah.
But the good news is like you have such a foundation that one of these days, if you do go viral, it's gonna be for all the right reasons, and like it's gonna be a bunch of nerds loving profitability. So, so I do know Carly is an open book, and so if you have a small business that you are interested in kind of diving into your numbers, definitely reach out to her. I know that she actually did some one-on-one coaching. I know that's not open all the time. So make sure you're following her so the next time that she opens up some slots in that, um, you
Hmm.
can coach with her and
That's
she can
coming in the
dig
fall.
into your, coming in the fall. So, all right, Cheese Slayers, please review. Hey, please leave a review if you haven't yet, because I used to do listener highlights, and maybe I will whip that out again. That sounds fun. So if you haven't, make sure you are subscribed and follow. That really does help the podcast get more views. And until next week, bye.